Hello, and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, a question I get asked quite often is why do you not promote Italian real estate as an investment opportunity, especially since you cover Italian real estate quite extensively on the channel? In today's video, I want to cover in a little more detail the advantages and disadvantages of buying real estate in Italy. But before I do so, could I please ask that if you enjoy my content to like and subscribe, as it does help push out videos to other people on YouTube. I want to firstly take a look at the advantages, and the first one, of course, is price. In general, real estate prices in Italy are quite cheap. If you avoid places like Milan, the Amalfi Coast, Portofino, and some of the other high end resort towns and cities, then there are some very good bargains to be had in Italy. And one such region where property prices are incredible value for money are in Sicily. You can more often than not find beautiful cities and towns where real estate on average costs less than 1,500 euros per square meter. And in many towns and cities like Marsala, Bagheria, and Modica, average prices are less than 1,000 euros per square meter. Now, property in the beautiful region of Calabria, in particular along the Riviera dei Cedri, is also incredibly cheap. And there are so many other places, even in the richer northern regions like Piemonte, where property is also great value for money. Number two, decent gross rental yields. Now, although Italy is far from being the best country for gross rental yields, there are still many towns and cities where you can get some quite good rental yields, actually, some very good yields. And two examples that come to mind are Siracusa in Sicily and Biella in the region of Piemonte, where gross rental yields are both above 10%. Number three, point three actually follows on from point one, and that is comparison with other European and indeed other international countries. Now, no doubt, at 3,500 euros per square meter on average, property prices in Italy's capital, Rome, are much cheaper than many other European capitals. For example, in Madrid and in Portugal, property prices are almost double those in Rome. It's amazing to think that prices in the resort town of Saranda in Albania are more expensive than many equivalent coastal towns in Italy, which tells you everything you need to know. Many places on the coast in Italy are very, very cheap. Number four, I want to talk about the housing cycle, which if you look at other countries in Europe, they've gone through pretty much a boom, but this has not really been the case for Italy, except in Milan. In fact, if you take into account inflation, property prices have dropped considerably in Italy over the last 10, 15 years or so. So now could be a good time to buy. Number five, tax incentives for foreigners. Now, one good thing about Italy is that it is trying to attract foreigners into the country through tax incentives. For example, there is an annual flat tax of 200,000 euros for high net worth individuals, which has seen a number of wealthy people move, in particular from the UK to Italy. There's also, of course, the 7% flat tax for pensioners moving to small towns and villages in the central and southern regions of Italy. Plus, of course, there is the digital nomad visa, which also has tax advantages. And number six, I briefly want to talk about other incentives. Now, I believe that a lot of people move to Italy also because of the excellent healthcare system, delicious cuisine, great lifestyle, top universities, rich cultural heritage. And actually, Italy is the country with the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And Italy, in general, has a good transport system. And of course, fashion is very big in Italy. And this also leads to many tourists coming. And if you buy property, there is a thriving Airbnb market. However, There are a number of reasons why buying property in Italy as an investment might not be a good idea. And the first reason is this, and I think the most important: Italy has a very, very low birth rate. Italy's birth rate at 1.15 per woman is one of the lowest in the world. Now, more significantly, it is actually decreasing every year. And if you look around you, um, in Italy, so many shops that used to sell wedding dresses are closing down and they're being replaced by pet food shops. And this indicates that the birth rate really also is going down. And typically, women in Italy are having children much later, so around 33 years of age. So, this is not good. A declining population is never good for the real estate market in the future. Number two, high taxes. Now, although some taxes, such as inheritance tax and also taxes, as we've said, for digital nomads, wealthy foreigners, and retirees as well, can be very low. Income tax rates are high in Italy, and capital gains tax is 26%, which isn't good either. Although for some government bonds it is lower at 12.5%, but for shares it is 26%. Although I have to say also, if you keep your property in Italy for 5 years or more, whatever second, third, fourth property, you'll pay no capital gains tax. But also, value added tax is high at 22%. So there are some good tax advantages in Italy, but in general, income tax is high. Number three, also important, high government debt to GDP. Now, Italy's total government debt to GDP is very high at around 135%. This means the government has very little leverage on spending. So tax rates could potentially also go up in the future. Number four, bureaucracy. Now, although things have improved a lot over the last few years, Italy in general is still quite a bureaucratic country. Number five, I want to talk about the high buy sell costs. Now, if you buy a property specifically as an investment in Italy and not to live in permanently, you will pay 9% stamp duty on the cadastral value of the property. Add to this notary fees, lawyer fees, real estate agent fees, which both the seller and the buyer pays. You can see the buy sell costs are quite high. Number six, pro tenant market. Now, Italian rental laws are very pro tenant. It can be very difficult to evict a tenant for non payment. It can easily take over 2 years in Italy to evict a tenant. So that's also a disadvantage of buying a property as an investment in Italy. And number seven, tightening of the Airbnb rules. I know this is also happening in other countries as well, but it is happening in Italy too. Now, you can see, for example, in Florence, they've banned Airbnb and short term rentals in the historic center. And Italy has also banned Airbnb self check ins. So owners are now requested by the authorities to verify the guests' identities. So, another thing against the Airbnb market. So, in conclusion, is Italy a real estate investment opportunity? Now, what I would say, if you are coming to live in Italy permanently, buying a property in most of Italy is a no brainer because, as compared to the most of Europe, it is generally very cheap. So, on the coast, for example, you can find property which is cheaper than countries like Bulgaria, Montenegro, Croatia. And in a way, Italy is still more developed in these countries. So that does tell you property is still very cheap. Now, for investment purposes, it's a bit more complicated. What I would say is that there is very little downside risk to investing in Italian property. And there are places in Italy, like I think Palermo, Syracuse, and Turin, where I do think in the next few years, property will go up a fair bit. Given as well the turbulent world we are living in, buying a property in Italy with so little downside risk may appeal to the more risk averse investor. And let's be honest, it's the case where property in Italy is quite cheap. So you may actually make some money in this market, but there are no guarantees. Italy is a lot cheaper than Portugal, but I think it's more because Portugal is overvalued in the property market. But nevertheless, I think it is worth consideration. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Italy is a real estate opportunity or just a lifestyle purchase? I'd love to know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I shall see you soon on the next video.